Welcome everyone to this session and continuing with our series that we have named Opening Our Churches in a New Reality. And part of those realities that we are facing in this uncharted territory is the reality of pastoral care. So we have opened up a conversation in the diocese with a great organization that is called Communities of Hope International. And they have been offering sharing with us some experiences in some places of what they do connected to pastoral care, especially in with lay leadership in our diocese. So we have some leaders in our diocese that have been jumping in and sharing this information and getting the most of this so that we can move to our next stage in launching this in a more organized way in the diocese. And we have invited the Reverend Deacon Richard Limato, the Reverend Deacon Denise Levitt, and Douglas as well will be joining us and sharing his experience from St. James de Les in Scarsdale. So he's the senior warden in this place. So there's, in one way or the other, we have experienced this new content and we would like to share that with you today. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask them in the chat section so that we can interact openly about this. Richard, Denise, and Douglas, welcome.
Hello.
Hi, thank you so much. Thanks, Ken and Victor.
Yes.
Be here.
Richard, it's all yours.
Oh, thank you.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Deacon Richard. I'm a deacon at St. Michael's Church on the Upper West Side of Manhattan. We have been a Community of Hope International Center for 2 years, which means that we've had 2 groups of parishioners go through our program, and we provided them training in all areas of skill development for becoming pastoral lay caregivers within the context of the parish or outside the parish. And the Community of Hope International provides a program that has 14 weeks of modules that when you become a center, you offer with a facilitator and others who assist with areas of expertise in those areas. And one of the reasons why I really love COHI, or the Community of Hope International program, is that not only does it have a really strong core curriculum, and I let everybody know this just to lend some authenticity to it, that my whole secular career was in education. And I am very, very critical of core curriculums. And I find it difficult to be critical of this core curriculum because it is so strong in the area of lay pastoral care ministry. They really cover in quite depth all of the important topics. The second reason why I'm really a big proponent of this program is that it also is a program that provides opportunity for discernment. So someone coming into the program doesn't necessarily have to come into the program knowing the particular area of lay pastoral care ministry they want to engage within, but can discern that through the process of this program over the 14 weeks that it's offered. And the third amazing piece of this program is that the underpinning of it is all Benedictine spirituality. So there is an opportunity for participants in the program to learn more about Benedictine spirituality and to actually write a personalized, individualized rule that as pastoral lay caregivers, they would like to live to support their own spiritual life, their own spiritual needs as lay ministers. And then in the second year of the program, there is a particular piece of it called Circle of Care, where all those who have graduated from the 14-week program come back each month to meet with a facilitator and to engage in topics and discussions concerning the ministries that they have gone into and other topics that you want to put on the table to continue to enhance their ability to develop lay pastoral ministry. And just briefly, if you sign on as a COHI center, they provide you with all of the resources and materials you need. And each of the modules is rich with information and other resources to support it. It begins with a module on Benedictine spirituality. There's a module on the theology of pastoral care, pastoral identity, a whole model on the deep listening skills, compassionate listening that lay pastoral caregivers need to do, a module on exploring your own spiritual gifts that you could bring to lay ministry. There's a module that is on pastoral visits and boundaries that need to be observed in it, a section on confidentiality, opportunities to enter into simulations for pastoral care visits, where the whole group gets an opportunity to observe a simulation and then for there to be feedback so that pastoral lay care ministers grow in how to handle particular situations. There's a module on grief and coping with loss, an excellent module on pastoral caregiving to seniors, another opportunity for continued practice of the skills. And then the final module deals with really committing to a particular ministry. So at the end of the program, people who go through it should be willing and ready and able and feel confidently equipped to go off into a pastoral care ministry that exists already within the context of the parish, or one that they want to speak with the rector about creating, or something outside the confines of the parish as well. So it's a really wonderful program if you are interested in equipping your lay pastoral caregivers for ministry. And they all leave with the confidence that, yeah, this is something they can do when they have a deeper understanding of their own gifts and abilities to do it, and their own passion for how they can bring their gifts to serve God's people within their parish.
Thank you, Richard. And there is something that normally when we are talking about communities of hope is I think it's normally from the ground up. And would you share with us a bit more of the experience and what is happening at St. Michael's? How have you embraced communities of hope? What is going on there connected?
Yeah, this program at St. Michael's really began 2 years back when my colleague Lee McIntosh was there as an associate rector, and we wanted to find a program that would help us to better equip those who are engaged in lay ministry. And Lee came upon this program and then recruited me to be a co-facilitator. And then when she moved on, I became the primary facilitator of it. The first year we had 14 parishioners go through it. And if I had to describe the cohort for you in that first year, they were people who each of us could probably identify would be really attracted to doing this because they were engaged in a variety of different pastoral care ministries and wanted to really learn more about it and feel better equipped with it. The second year, and this was probably my own blunder, I probably should have waited a year and taken a hiatus and just done the circles of support with the graduates in the second year. But we were feeling so ecstatic about the COE program that we went into the second year and we got 5 more participants. And I have to tell you, the second year people, they were the most diverse group of people that if I had to put together, I probably wouldn't have. And I was wondering how it really was going to work out. But the program really brought them together. And by the end of the program, they were a really cohesive group, although still diverse in their own gifts and their own interests and their own personalities. But they really did take a lot from each other in the second phase of it. The other part that really has been rich is we have kept until COVID came along, we kept the circle of support where we would meet monthly in person. And much of that was they were allowed to identify the agenda based upon their own experiences and concerns and things that they had been doing. And sometimes I would bring topics to them. COHE has rich topics that they offer for that second year for extending the experience of pastoral care. So it's been a program well received. It really, we've had people go off to do grief groups. We've had people go off to try hospital chaplaincy. We've had people go back to their healing prayer ministry, now feeling a little bit more fully equipped about what they were doing as a result of it. So we've had success with people both within their own parish ministries or identifying parish ministries they wanted to be involved in. And it's been really great that way. So now we are at a place where we are encouraging others to consider this lay pastoral care training. And because we've had so much opportunity for experience, to provide you with as much support in doing it as we possibly can.
And Richard, now as we are transitioning, as you know, we have been in conversations here in now how we can bring this about in the diocese, and you have graciously accepted the invitation to be the leader in helping us organize this group and especially expand this ministry in the diocese in so many different ways. So, what are your thoughts about this, and what have you maybe share about, and maybe inviting others to the conversation as well at this moment?
Well, firstly, I think I shared that wonderful invitation with my rector just the other day, and she was actually very supportive of it because she too feels strongly about the benefit of COHE being in the parish program. As a matter of fact, Victor heard about COHE not from me, but from Kate Flexer, my rector, who was telling him what a marvelous program it was and that he should speak with me concerning it, and then it all took off. So we're actually looking at a variety of different models at this point, Victor, if I'm correct. Firstly, we're looking to explore a diocesan model where those who cannot be at a COHE center would join our diocesan COHE group and become part of it that way. So parishes would have an opportunity to send people interested in lay pastoral care training to us. And right now, because of COVID, the training would probably be virtual, using some video recorded sessions that people would watch, and then also some live interactive sessions using Zoom and all the other media that we have available to us. Denise can also contribute to this conversation, because we are also at this point going to extend COHE training for the deacon postulants in the Diocese of New York. So it will be the lay pastoral care training that they receive as an instructional program in addition to their clinical practice in a hospital setting, and in addition to all the other things that they do to prepare for becoming deacons, such as field placement in parishes throughout. And then there is the third piece of this, and Victor is very creative. He probably has 4 and 5 pieces he hasn't discussed with me yet. But the third piece of this is that we've now been a consultant to St. James and to Holyrood, who are setting up teams to become COHE centers. And we have met with them via Zoom and answered their questions and helped support them and send them on their way. And I've agreed to act as an ongoing consultant to them as we do this, right? So I don't know if Denise, you wanted to extend any of that from your perspective of the deacon formation program.
Sure, I'd like to comment on that. So hi everybody, I'm Deacon Denise Lavetti, and I'm the head of deacon formation and transition for our diocese. And so what I've been struggling with the past several years since I started running the program, the deacon formation program, is that I keep reinventing the wheel with their clinical pastoral training, because people live in different places. I put them in different hospitals for their on-site training, and I've upgraded the clinical pastoral training to include a lecture series. And I was very blessed for a couple of years to have a wonderful person at White Plains Hospital. We had the benefit of the lectures, and then he retired. So I've been kind of stuck with that, for that module, and I don't want to keep having different things all over the place. I wanted one thing for the lecture part that my students had to do. And I heard about this from Richard, and it sounded wonderful. I looked into it myself and got very excited about it because it seemed to be just the right thing. And then in conversation with Richard and with Victor, we decided on this diocesan model. So what I'm going to require of the deacon students is that they do this module through the diocesan center. So that'll be a requirement for the deacon program, and that will take care of, and then I don't have to worry where they live or what hospital they're doing their on-site training, which would be patient contact hours. But the lectures can be on however they do it, and it'll all be done. And it just sounds like so much more, sounds like so much more than I even hoped for. So I'm excited about it, and I think it's going to be wonderful. And I think it's also going to be a really great thing to have laypersons and diaconal students in the same group. I think there'll be a lot of really good sharing there and different perspectives, and of course, in the back of my mind, good recruiting for deacons, to have that exposure. So
yes,
it's going to be good.
Yes, thank you, Deacon Denise. And I think that's I think that the way to start continue unfolding this idea in the diocese, and as well as respecting the freedom for centers to be created in individual congregations as well, is the whole movement of intentionally preparing people for pastoral care. And I think deacons will play an important role in all these, spreading out the word of the importance of preparing people in connecting and following up with pastoral care in our specific settings as well. So we are really thrilled, and thank you for joining us in this experience. I think you brought that to us, and it's something that we are grateful to embrace and to continue pushing as well. So, and maybe some of you are wondering the question about facilitators. How a facilitator is prepared, is formed, what do they need to do, where do they need to go, things like that maybe are in the back of your mind. And we have here Douglas Hatcher. He's the senior warden at St. James de Les in Scarsdale, and he just came back from that training not long ago. So I would like to invite Douglas as well to jump in and share with us your perspective on Communities of Hope International.
Thank you so much, Victor. It's an amazing program. Having your support, Victor, having Richard's support is huge. I have to say we did a 2-day program. So you took sort of the 14 weeks and you distilled them into a 2-day virtual setting, and it was really good. It was really intense, I have to say, to do all that in just a 2-day period. But it really is a listening ministry. It's a ministry that will help. Speaking as a layperson, it helps lay people, I think, step into some pastoral roles that can be helpful to deacons and rectors. And I think right now people more than ever need someone to talk to, need the kind of pastoral expertise that Cohee can give you. I only have good things to say about it. And as Richard alluded to, there are video modules that people have access to. You'll have Richard, who will be extremely helpful, and you as well, Victor. I can't say enough about it. It's a great program. I'm happy to answer questions, but definitely it's a really wonderful thing that the diocese is helping to champion.
And Douglas, something that maybe was there from the beginning of the conversation, what makes you as a parish, as a congregation, go this route? What was the need that kind of called you to do this?
I think part of it is we, at least pre-COVID, were beginning to grow in membership, and we kind of believe that before you actually start to have that tipping point of growth, you have to kind of step into it. And having a pastoral program that some lay people can be a part of, we think will be helpful to our rector and to our deacon as we grow. In other words, they're going to have, they're going to be stressed with more duties, and we can kind of help alleviate some of that by having this training. So for us, it's really part of the growth of the parish.
Thank you. I think that's something that, and looking at the perspective, what is the need behind, and something that in previous conversations, I think, Douglas, you were mentioning, was the need as well to help your priests and deacon in doing this as a lay person. And that was, I think, something crucial that changed the conversation on leadership and pastoral care, because normally, as we know, many people would like to see their clergy person visiting them, and that's something that is one of those myths out there. But through the training, that was something that was offered, the chance to say, hey, lay leaders can be and will be part of this ministry as well.
Absolutely. And I would just also add, Victor, that my dad was an Episcopal priest, and he grew his parish in Northern Virginia, St. Anne's Episcopal Church. And he really grew them in part because he used Stephen's ministry, which is a little bit different from Kohi. But he was able to, in a sense, kind of deputize some of the lay leadership to help carry some of the pastoral burdens. So the rector still does pastoral things, obviously, but it enabled him to kind of do some other things that would help grow the parish. So I see this not only from my own personal experience in Scarsdale, but also growing up and watching my dad do it as well.
And Richard, as we are thinking of this connection, with the wider community, what would be one invitation that you can bring to people now that are participating here in this video conference?
Well, I think the one of the important things to think about with this is that when I consider both cohorts who went through the program at St. Michael's, we had people with a lot of skill already who were already engaged in ministries within the context of St. Michael's. And then we also had people who were, I've always wanted to do this. I don't quite understand how I can be helpful. I don't feel I have all the skill to do this. All come together in this program, and they all left provided for, regardless of what level of experience and what skill level that they were at. They all arrived at a place of competence that was a new level for them. And the other wonderful opportunity for this that is really rich is the Benedictine spirituality piece, where as you are engaging in something that is content learning and strategy developing, you also are engaging in a program that is developing your own personal spirituality relative to pastoral care ministry and lay ministry, which is wonderful. And then there's that strong discernment piece. So we hope that in the diocesan model that for participants will be able to firstly welcome people of all skill levels. And you all know in your congregations, you have those who are ready and able to run into ministry right now and are doing so, and those who might want to take the step into ministry but are not too sure how they can be of help or what that really means for them, and all have them provided for within the context of this one program. So that's a really very exciting piece. And as Douglas was speaking, I couldn't help but think that this is less about, and he wasn't saying this, but it's less about taking work out of the hands of the ordained ministers and putting the work in the hands of the lay ministers who really are the first group of people intending to do this ministry within the context of the parish. So it's helping lay ministry grow more fully into what lay ministry is supposed to be. So that's an exciting piece.
Thank you, Richard. So let's open up now for questions from the group. If any of you have any question that you would like to share and ask either Denise or Douglas or Richard, please, this is the moment to bring them to us. Yes, Jennifer.
Hi, I'm Jenny Owen. I'm the rector at St. Augustine's in Croton-on-Hudson, and I was so excited to hear about this because I provide pastoral supervision to a Community of Hope group in Greenwich, Connecticut for about 5 years, and it is such an amazing. It was the closest I found to actually with the Benedictine spirituality piece. It was really this small intentional community that formed around Community of Hope that was just amazing to behold. It was the one monthly meeting when I went to that Circle of Care meeting, I came out of it fed and excited about my ministry every time. I would skip home after an hour-long pastoral care meeting. It was amazing. I guess my question is, though, I was there, in in a large, congregation that already had this set up as a framework. I'm now in a smaller congregation, a congregation that, really needs a building from the ground up of an empowered lay pastoral care ministry. I think that there's not really a distinction between kind of pastoral care and just kind of like reaching out to your friends and neighbors and, kind of understanding how, really what it means to provide that ministry. There's that component. And so I guess I'm excited to hear about this diocesan cohort and this idea that, that for smaller parishes, because they may be able to send folks to this to start. But I guess I'm wondering, what are you imagining, how that group would, then kind of come back to their parishes, how clergy in those parishes can kind of work with those folks. I'm just kind of curious at how you see this working in smaller parishes, for example, where I'm the only full-time staff person. And I love the idea of that diocesan piece, and just wondering how that interacts then with the parish back at home.
Richard, do you want to engage this question? Or?
Sure. Thank you, Victor. Hi, Jennifer. I think that this model, as we imagine it, and we're building this up from the ground up ourselves, diocesan-wide, is really appropriate for smaller parishes that can't take on the numbers needed to do this or have the opportunity to provide the training. I would say that my first thought would be the language that you used was very appropriate, that this would build intentional community, not just within that Kohe group, but within the group that you send from your parish to be part of that experience. And you also underscored, and it is important for the rector or priest in charge, for the leadership in the parish to really be aware of what the group is doing, and to actually, there are commissioning services that would be brought back to the parish to make people aware that there are their fellow parishioners who have engaged in this training. And the object of the training, as you probably know from your own experience with it, is when you graduate from it to have a plan for what your ministry opportunity is going to be. And certainly Kohe participants are told that they have an accountability, and the accountability is to their rector or to their priest in charge, who is in charge of really holds the accountability for the pastoral care, program in the parish, so that there would have to be an important connection with you when they come back, and an opportunity to really meet. I'm also thinking off the top of my head that it probably wouldn't be out of the ordinary if I'm sorry, I'm at work in the hospital, and the ASCOM just went off, a call coming into the office. It wouldn't be out of the ordinary for us to also, from that first diocesan cohort, manage a diocesan circle of care to continue to feed those late pastoral graduates. But it would also be rich and important for the rector to also meet occasionally with those people within the context of his or her parish to explore how ministry is going for them and what other possibilities there would be for ministry given the needs of your parish. When I was just telling a story to a postulant today who was here at the hospital working with us. I said, whenever I went to diocesan vocational meetings, and they would always ask me, what was I going to do as a deacon? And I would be, I don't know. My answer would be, firstly, whatever the needs of the parish were, that I felt I had the gifts to meet. And then I would also throw into the hopper, because I've spent a lifetime in education, and I hope I could teach. Do you know how many priests told me no, that I wouldn't be able to teach because that wasn't my role, in the parish? But one thing I discovered through the deacon formation process with Denise is that I discerned through that process where my gifts were, what my interests were. So by the time I was on the threshold of St. Michael's, I could answer the question about what I was bringing to St. Michael's as a deacon. And your lay pastoral care ministers who come from Kohe will come back to you and discuss with you where they feel equipped to meet the needs of the parish they are in and the parish they know and love and understand the needs of. I hope I answered your question on how that would work.
You did, and that's really reassuring. And I would just, I don't toss myself out there as somebody who would be really happy to help with this effort as it gets going.
Great. Sounds like you have a lot of good experience.
I love it so much. I really miss it.
Excellent.
I have a couple of minor and maybe just housekeeping questions. I'm an old lady, more or less. I've been a visiting LEM and a LEM for decades, visiting people both at home and in hospital settings, bringing communion. My other interest has always been, I'm it's not quite licensed. I'm a VSO, a veteran service officer, and I have over the last 20 years as a volunteer filed hundreds of claims for veterans, and I consider that a ministry. I'm still filing claims out of the house, haven't left the house since March. My ex-POW World War II husband is 97. I ain't going anywhere. My question about the 14-week program is that at a specific time, or is it something you can kind of log on to when it's comfortable for you?
Well, firstly, you are engaged in a blessed set of ministries. So blessings to you and your husband for his service to this country. I'm sorry?
Jewish, so I juggle a lot of ecumenical eggs.
Yeah, and I'm particularly happy to hear about the veteran ministry.
Yeah,
Because that's so needed and so important.
I have an office down at Montrose. I'm at St. Peter's Peekskill, where we have a temporary interim. So we're in the process of trying to call a new priest in charge. We don't have the money for a rector.
Okay.
I don't know that this would ever become anything that would be a center for pastoral care. On the other hand, it's something I'm obviously interested in. My life had turned out differently. I'm gone for the diaconate, but his PTSD wouldn't allow me to be gone much.
Mm-hmm.
He's only 97.
God bless him.
He lifts weights and walks 1.5 miles on the treadmill every day.
A model for us all.
He also wrote a book about his experiences when he was 86.
Wow.
So he's quite.
That's amazing.
Yeah, we've been together for more than 50 years. But as I say, I've always considered a ministry, even though it was done in a completely secular setup, and I would never talk about religion to any of my clients, unless, of course, it came up. But it certainly isn't a matter that I say, hey, I'm an Episcopalian. Who cares? They want to know if I can do the paperwork.
To answer your question, if you are doing this within the context of your own parish, the calendar is very much yours to set up with the monthly meetings. We have to wrestle out the details of how we're handling the diocesan model. The idea would be for some of the instruction to be done through recorded video sessions that we would host and post, so that you could probably have access to those at any time that fits your own parish schedule. The part we have to wrestle with is there does need to be some live interaction, and those sessions to help make meaning of the videotaped presentation would have to be scheduled sessions that we'd have to figure out how we were actually going to be doing that. The other thing I want to, just on a practical level, is that you probably, a facilitator, and Douglas, you could probably talk to this from your training, the facilitator isn't the primary instructor of every session. The facilitator is the facilitator that helps the sessions and those you bring in to be instructors within the context of your parish. So if you would start thinking in terms of who in your parish has particular skill sets that align with the topics of COHE, that would be good to teach those sessions, and you would support them as the facilitator for it. Or if you were facilitating like me, there were some sessions that I wanted to take myself to do. For example, I actively work as a hospital chaplain. So I was very interested in doing the sessions on pastoral care identity and pastoral care simulations and things like that, because I had some expertise that I could bring to those areas. So one of the things you would need to do if you were considering starting would be to develop a calendar. How are you going to schedule those 14 sessions throughout the year? People need to be aware that it's a big commitment, that is a large commitment, and they need to be at most, if not all of those sessions, to really be fully equipped. There's very little opportunity to kind of catch somebody up for a session that they've missed because there's so much that goes on. And then you could start thinking about who has expertise within the parish that you might want to draw into this. Who in the parish do you want to invite to consider being a member of the COHE group, who you know would really be responsive to the training that's being offered? So those are all practical questions that you would want to ask in the beginning.
And who's on the path to the diaconate?
Or not. I mean, this also this largely is not for people on the path to the diaconate. This is for people interested in lay pastoral care ministry. We are inviting those on the path to the diaconate into it, and it might launch some people's idea of it, but we don't want to lose the sight of the fact that the focus of this is equipping lay pastoral care ministers who are so important to the survival of our parishes.
He's acting as a chaplain in the local hospital on whatever day of the week she does it.
Right. Denise, would you agree with that?
Yes, absolutely. I was just going to cut in. We are
I know you well enough to know your face from the Deacon Formation Program where I was your student to know you needed a word.
It is truly a program for lay people. I am totally piggybacking the Deacon Formation Program on it. Okay, so it's not Deacon Formation Program and we're letting some lay people come in. It's for lay people. I'm piggybacking. Okay, so we're kind of the intruders, if you will. Okay, and technically the students are still lay people anyway. So
Thank you for your inputs.
okay.
Any other questions from you and the group? Yes, you need to unmute. Good.
Can you hear me?
Now we can hear you. Yes.
Okay, great. So my question is, I'm Deacon Robin Beveridge. I'm a deacon at Christ the King in Stone Ridge. And what's the cost of this? You know, Janet Vincent is our rector, and we were talking about this program for our pastoral care. And I'm just wondering, I know at one point we looked into Stephen's ministry, and that seemed pretty pricey. Just wondering, what's the cost here?
Mm-hmm. Richard?
Anybody know?
I was going to send that one to you, Victor. It is a $750 beginning fee when you join to create a center. And then there is a recurring $250 in the previous years when you're maintaining the Community of Hope, the Circle of Care.
Okay, so this would be if, let's say, we wanted to make a center in the parish, if we had enough people interested.
$750 gets you membership into the group and all of the rich resources of the program.
Okay, and so that it wouldn't matter. It's not per person, it's per parish.
Per parish, and you don't have to duplicate anything. Everyone gets a binder and all of the curriculum materials. And
Thank you.
The goodness of this as well, I think, as we are reimagining the program, is that we don't want to take away from individual congregations to do that, to engage and say, we want to have our own center here, and we want to create our own center as well for the sake of Communities of Hope's financial futures as well. We don't want to take away that from them. But at the same time, we want to make possible for congregations that cannot afford to create their own center, especially small congregations that may be having some challenges in even finding some people that would like to do that. So the idea of creating a place where we can send them and say, you 2-3 people in the parish can do this, can be engaged in this. So it's $750 with that membership opening, and then the renewing fee is every year, and it gives you access to materials, videos, resources, and even there is a plus Richard as a consultant. There is another pool of consultants as well that they offer to you as well in different.
Yeah, I'm free.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Okay.
But it's
Good.
Yes. Any other questions that you would like to have? Yes.
Create a center in your parish, which is probably impossible in mine. How does that figure into? Is there still $750, or is it lesser because you're just joining your diocesan?
Yes, that's a good question, and thank you, Melaine, for asking that. There's something that we are still trying to put together, and is the point of contribution from participants, and it's something that we have been thinking of, and it will definitely be less than the $750. It will be even comparing to levels of participation as well. If 2 people from the same parish will be coming up, of course, we are going to be always looking into that. There is some deeper conversations that we have with Deacon Denise as well, considering the people looking to be deacons in the diocese as well, that how they would like to contribute to this in one way or the other financially as well. So there will be some more information coming up as we are developing these next steps. But definitely, we don't want that to be an impediment for people to be trained as pastoral care agents in their parishes as well. Thank you for that question.
I can pay it myself, but I know that my church probably can't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Arlene, you have a question?
Yes, sir. I'm wondering, once someone has said, I sign on, I feel called to be a participant in this program. Right before, is there something that the person is to read, or some particular way in which they are to prepare? I'm just curious. I know there are reading materials throughout and all sorts of things once the program begins, but right before, I'm just curious.
No, truthfully, firstly, everyone can go Google Community of Hope International and go to their website and get an overview of the program and the materials. But Arlene, there's nothing a participant needs to do other than have an opening heart and an interest in learning how to become an even more compassionate listener, and a deep interest in wanting to do a deep dive into Benedictine spirituality in their own lives. And once you step into the program, it's kind of a whirlwind of all those things happening around you. So nothing you need to do in anticipation of it, but just have that openness of heart to want to experience those aspects of the program.
That makes perfect sense. Thank you.
Yes, Deacon Rendora, Lee.
Yes, hi. Douglas, I was curious. You said that you did the 14 weeks, you distilled that into a 2-day period. How did that work? And do you suggest a 1 year or 2 year?
Sure. So this was the first time that Kohi, I think, did this distillation down to 2 days. And it may have been COVID driven, I'm not sure, but it was obviously virtual. And, it was very intense. It was really rigorous. I think they did a great job, but if I had to do it again, I think the 14 week program is probably the better way to go. But even that, to Richard's earlier point, even that's going to be, rigorous and require commitment and all of that.
And there is, I think, that it's important to bring into that question as well, is the training for the facilitators of the program as well. Is what?
Yeah, I think that's the clarification I wanted to offer, Victor. I think, Douglas, you were speaking about the training for the facilitators.
Yes, right. Correct.
Not the training for the lay pastoral care ministers, which really has to be, Mother Lee, done over a 14-week period of time. It's hard to do less than that. Because it's so
good
intense.
clarification. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? I know, Reverend Tully, you have been kind of thinking of how to, you have been bringing a lot of questions before about this, how to bring and equip your leaders in your parish about pastoral care. So any...
Yeah, thank you. We have been thinking about it, and then we were really on a full throttle, and then COVID hit, and it kind of swirled us out of our momentum. So this is wonderful to have this offering today. Thank you. And thank you, Richard, so much. We, like Jennifer Owens Parish, are a small parish, and I'm not quite sure that we have capacity to be a center, but I would certainly think that we have several folks, at least 2 to 3, who would like to participate on the diocesan level. And it's certainly something that I love everything I'm hearing about it, the program. And so I guess my question would be, it seems that the diocesan participation would be a place to kind of get a foothold and then take it back to the parish and then figure out what kind of momentum could be built within the parish.
Good idea.
But offering an opportunity to get started for us small parishes is just really tremendous. And I really thank you for that.
Yeah,
it's exactly so. And I must say, from the first moment I had a conversation with Victor in the beginning, he was always concerned, just even beyond COHE, as to how to provide resources to parishes that didn't have the numbers to support doing it on their own or being able to afford it on their own. So it was really his wonderful idea to kind of explore this idea of the diocesan model of doing it. And I think it's terrific. We don't have all the answers for how that's going to work right now, but I think it's an excellent opportunity for parishes like your own to send a few people over and then to continue to excite and build the capacity within your own parish. Would you say that, Victor?
Yes. And I think that's crucial because most of the programs, when we are looking at them, they in small settings or even, like how can we bring that to a place? It's been hindering participation in so many different levels. So I think something that we can create, especially with Communities of Hope, is that opportunity for everyone to have the same access in the same quality program as well. Because this is a great program to offer and to have access in that. And I think something as well that we want to explore with Richard's help is something as well of connecting as well to centers nearby you. For example, I know your church is close to St. James de Les in Scarsdale, for example, and how we can connect you with them so that you can participate. Something that is powerful about this program is that you gain a strength in numbers, in how people gain the courage to go through the whole 14 weeks, and is by being in community. And that helps as well break the silos that sometimes we may create around our organizations as well. Like, this is a program only for us. This open it up and see how we can reach out to different communities around.
See, I told you that Victor had a 4th and 5th stage of this in his head that he was eventually going to share. And now, of course, he's raising the important piece that if your neighbors and somebody is offering a center, you could participate that way as well. So that was an important clarification, Victor. Thank you.
Yes, yes.
Victor, there's a question in the chat about that.
Oh. Yes, when will this start? So I'm thankful for Richard's. I think it's a blessing to have him here in our diocese. Denise and I, we are like, yeah, you know, it's been kind of the key component of this. So we are hoping to move ahead, respecting again the congregation's decisions to start individually if they want to start earlier. But our goal is to start doing something in January, and it will be going up into something more systematic. As Richard was saying, we need to start creating some of the videos, some creating, getting connection with some of the facilitators as well, presenters and all that. So we are going to be putting all of these together and offering more, I think, as the year starts in 2021, launching this. And something that we're convinced at this moment of is that this has to be offered with the possibility of online training. The on-site still is, we are uncertain of when we are going to be able to gather, but the online will be the way to launch this as well. So we invite you to keep tuned and to the Office of Vitality and Formation in the diocese so that you will be able to get the update on that. Richard, would you have something to say on this?
So I would just add to that, Victor, that in terms of St. James the Less, our timetable is to join as a center in November, and then with an eye to actually starting the program in the first quarter of next year. That'll give us enough time to really to get more familiar with the videos and the resources, and Richard and both you, Richard and Victor, are going to be helpful for us to figure out who are some of the experts that we can bring in to help with various parts of the program. I think Richard said earlier that, you know, our role is really to facilitate this, and there are going to be plenty of occasions for us to bring in other folks to help with the program as well. But in terms of timetable, we're looking at the first quarter of next year, but we're going to sign up before then so we can kind of get prepared to have that in the first quarter.
Thank you, Douglas. I would also say that one of our intents is to build up a treasure trove of resources so that if you have people within your parish and you're not offering a center yourself who you feel would be really helpful with the content of this program and the strategies needed in this program, please send their names along to us, because we'd like to be able to have a database of resources for parish centers to draw upon and for our diocesan program to draw upon. Now, clearly, you know the intent of the diocesan program, but we have a lot of planning to do to get that off the ground, but we're all committed and eager to have that happen. So at the same time we're planning that, we're trying to also offer you whatever support you might need in wanting to launch this in your own parish as a center.
Yes.
Just another note about how this can, I think, work together. Just one thing I'm noticing, and I don't know to what extent this occurs in, you know, kind of other little pockets around the diocese, but, you know, what I'm noticing particularly perhaps in my deanery is, you know, we're all churches that are smaller. We're pretty much all one clergy parishes. There's a couple of deacons in some of our parishes. But we're just, one of the things we're in conversation with in our deanery is how much stuff there is that we are doing individually that we ought to consider doing together. Mm-hmm. And this just seems like this is one of those things. I hope something like this might get a chance to be presented perhaps to the deanery heads as something to be discussed. I'll certainly bring it back to my own deanery. We just met yesterday, but I just think there's some real opportunity because, you know, a lot of parishes, you know, they don't, you know, parishes are, you know, have, you know, are going down to just one clergy parishes. And to have this, as something that we could coordinate together, especially because, again, as I'm noticing here, my parishioners know the parishioners down the road and know the clergy at those churches. There's a lot of crossover, especially like in these river towns. And so I think that there's a real opportunity for us to care and serve each other. We already, cover for each other. We we cover for each other pastorally when we're out of town. We go on call for each other. So it just seems like there's some pockets in the diocese where there may be able to eventually, as this gets going, with the diocese, then to have, perhaps deanery centers that pop up. And I think there's a really good opportunity for that. I think often people think pastoral care, you have to know the people, in the parish. And I think one of the things that proper pastoral care training does teach you is actually, pastoral care is pastoral care.
Right.
Of course, the relationship matters, but to be responsive and to be present is it's really important. So I like the idea of this being something that it doesn't feel so parish based, actually.
Thank you for offering that, Jennifer. I put my contact information in the chat box if you should have any additional questions or want to reach out and have a chat off of this meeting. I think, Jennifer, that's exactly right. I think that when you bring the cohort together, they don't necessarily need to know one another, nor do we need to know them, because there's intentional community that develops as a result of this, and a bonding that I'm gonna say will happen, and yet also people will be able to go back to their own parishes and still bring their expertise and their understanding of the charism of their own parish as they do it.
Yes, and I think that is crucial in this way of what we want to offer for pastoral care. We know that COVID is one of those moments in history that makes us realize the importance of opening up our doors and exploring different possibilities in ministry. And something that we want to move on as well is on that idea that we will need to break those boundaries as well of parishes and say, hey, how can we be working together and sharing our resources and then opening up to the wider community as well, what we want to offer as well. So we are reaching our end to this program. Richard just graciously put his contact information in the chat. Please write that down. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to communicate. And this will continue to offer communication via the diocesan wide email that goes out. So it will be something that we keep sending out information on what will be the next steps in doing that. But don't hesitate to reach out to any of us, to Richard, to me, to Denise. You have any people asking about the diaconate, please contact her. To Douglas as well, if you as a layperson want to know a bit more, like what does it mean for a layperson to start thinking in this way, Douglas is right there as well. So do not hesitate.
I have one question. So we have, since COVID, and we've all gone online, we have people that are now in different states. They're not even anywhere near us. So this sounds like the kind of program that they could participate in from California or Florida and still be active in the parish and be active in their community. So would there be an objection to them being a part of it?
No, not at all. I think, Bill, you're exactly right. I think one of the blessings of COVID has been the idea of launching digital church and extending the boundaries of congregation beyond the walls of our physical church buildings. I know that at St. Michael's, we have an active digital participation that we're looking to maintain a hybrid version of church, even when COVID is happily over. So that, yes, this is one of the blessings of COVID, that people can Zoom in from other parts of the country they happen to be in and still be a part of the congregational community.
Yes. And I think something as well that is a blessing about this program as well are the cycle of care that is like not just training people and just letting them be by themselves, but keeping them in this community that gathers and prays and enrich each other. So yeah, we are open to explore this. We are going to be doing this together with Communities of Hope International as well, because we don't want to do something that they are not approving of, but it's exciting to be thinking out of the box as we are launching this in our diocese here in New York as well. So I'm typing in my email address, and please do not hesitate to contact any of us here, and yes, don't hesitate. Just send us an email. If you're interested in just knowing a bit more, or if you want us to connect with you with your vestry meeting or your lay leaders and say, how can we do this there? Please use us as resource for launching this program really well in our diocese as well. Good. So we have several deacons here. So Deacon Denise, would you send us out into the world, please?
I absolutely would. It's something that I really miss doing in person. Let us go in peace to love and serve the Lord.
Thanks be to God.
Thanks be to God.
Thanks be to God.
Thank you, everyone, for joining, and let's continue the conversation.
Okay, good night, everybody.
Guys, really
Bye.
appreciate it.
See you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much.
Blessings.